So, I do not know about you, but for me, March was a very weird reading month. I feel like I read quite a bit, but I actually only managed to read 3 books. Granted, they were pretty big books, but I didn't get much time off in March. I had to work a lot, and then I also got sick, which kind of stopped me from reading because the headache that came with the flu that I had was absolutely wicked. I could not stand to read while I had that headache. So that definitely kind of stopped me from reading quite a bit this month. But I'm still not disappointed with the amount that I read because I did get through a trilogy that's on my TBR for 2024, and I really loved the 3 books that I did read, so I count that as a win. The first book that I read in March was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book in the Dark Artifices trilogy. It is 669 pages if you do not count the short story at the end. I think if you do count the short story at the end, it is more around 680 pages. But this was a reread for me, though I did not remember anything that had happened in this book because it's been nearly a decade since I last read it. So if you've never heard of the Dark Artifices, it is a trilogy that takes place 5 years after The Mortal Instruments ends, and I definitely do not recommend reading these if you have not read The Mortal Instruments and The Infernal Devices first, because I feel as though you'd be quite lost if you hadn't already read those ones. But overall, I really liked this one. The characters were written a little bit young to me, but in the third book, that does end up being kind of explained as to why they were written young. I feel like it could have been just kind of put into a sentence quickly in this one because it did bother me quite a bit. And I found myself also getting a little bit confused by the characters just because there were so many of them. So I did rate this one 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. It just wasn't my favorite book in the Shadowhunters universe. And I do also feel like it had a slow start compared to a lot of Cassandra Clare's other works, but all in all, it was a really solid read, and I do recommend it if you do enjoy the Shadowhunters books, but only if you have read the other 2 series that come before this one. I just feel like if you didn't, you would be so lost. Next, naturally, I read Lord of Shadows, which is the second installment in the Dark Artifices. I liked this one a lot more than the first one. I found the characters were better written and there was a lot more character development in this one, and I guess I can thank the first one for that because this one you can kind of see how much they've grown since the first one. I definitely found this one was also a lot more fast-paced. She dived right into the action right at the beginning, and I did not want to put it down. This was the one I was reading when I got sick though, so I had to put it down, unfortunately. This one was 699 pages, so also a very chunky book, but every page counted, and I'm really glad that it ended up being that size because I couldn't imagine anything being taken out of this book and it's still flowing as well as it does. Same characters as the first one, though I definitely knew them a lot more in this one, so it wasn't as confusing to me, and the ending to this one was absolutely insane. Right when I finished it, I had to pick up the third one because it was just nuts. I could not believe what I had just read. So this one was 5 stars. It was so good. I was really happy that I liked it a little bit more than the first one, and I also have to say if you are a fan of The Mortal Instruments or The Infernal Devices, you will really love these books, and this one and the third one in particular because it has a lot of characters that were in those ones weaved into the story in this one and the third book. They're in the first one as well, but I feel like not as much. I really loved this one, and because of that, I could not wait to start reading the third one. So the exact same day I finished Lord of Shadows, I picked up Queen of Air and Darkness, which is the last book in the Dark Artifices trilogy, and this one is 880 pages if you do not count the short story that is at the end of it, and this edition also is illustrated. And the illustrations in it are absolutely gorgeous. I did not know this one was illustrated until I went to read it, and I was so happy when I saw the illustrations. I don't know if every copy is like this or if this is a special edition. I'm really not sure. It just really added to the story, and I loved that part of it so much. I also don't know if you can see this, but this one also has a beautiful illustration inside of the dust jacket, which I only found out about because I removed the dust jacket from my hardcover books when I go to read them. It's just a personal preference, but I'm glad I did, or else I don't think I would have noticed that that was even there. But this one was just as good as the second book. It was insane from the start to the end, and I did not want to put it down ever. I can only assume she continues on with some of this story in some of her later works. I haven't read anything past these yet, so the rest of the Shadowhunter world will be completely new to me when I do finally pick it up, which will be soon because this made me definitely want to keep reading it. But I loved this third installment of this trilogy. It was so well written. I was really sad when it ended because I do not want to leave these characters. So safe to say this one was definitely another 5 stars for me, and I cannot wait to eventually revisit these in the future. They will forever hold a very special place in my heart. But that is all that I read in March. It doesn't feel like a lot, but it definitely felt like a lot while I was in the midst of them. Let me know in the comments what you read in March, if you had a really good reading month. Maybe it was more like mine where there were a lot of outside factors and you didn't get to read as much as you wish you could have. I will see you all again very soon in another reading vlog. I hope you all have a great rest of your week and happy reading.